session.
Yes, make a motion that council approves the purchase and sale agreement between the J&L Family Partnership and the City of Fulshear. And this contract.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Murdoch to purchase land with J&L. We have a second by Ms. Ridge. Any questions, discussion?
Yeah, I think there's some discussion. I think that, you know, we all recognize the value of going into the city's responsibility to the public to purchase parklands, and I think that as a council we're all in agreement with that. It's in our comprehensive plan, and I don't think that there's anyone that differentiates from that belief that sits up here on this dais. But this has morphed dramatically into what the city's wanting to do now, such that I don't feel like there's I don't feel like the council itself has done the due diligence. I can tell you that I have not seen the property that we're talking about. I've not been out there. We have been talking about other significant property for a good long time. I did my due diligence on that, as I think other council members did. And that park was highly sought after, or that particular land was highly sought after. And at this late hour, we're wholesaling changing the agreement, what we're doing, drastically, that I just don't think that we need to rush. The city has $1.35 million in park budgets. We have some of that money that's going to expire. The city does want to handle that responsibly, and we want to make sure we buy the best parkland in the city. I'm not saying that this isn't the transaction. I just think that the due diligence hasn't been done to follow through on Mr. Murdoch's motion as currently proposed before this council.
Anybody, man?
I'd like to make a comment as well. I would second those comments in the sense that, you know, we've been looking at a transaction, concentrating on a transaction in a completely different part of town now for several weeks. I've been putting a lot of energy, and I know other council members have been putting a lot of energy into that, to understand that transaction, try to understand what plan the city has for parks going forward. I'm a great believer in having a plan. I just don't see one right now. I know, and I'm committed to, and I did commit during my election campaign to the purchase of parkland. I realise that we need to get on that and get on that quickly. And I'm more than happy to put that energy into it, but I'm not comfortable with, up until Tuesday evening, concentrating on one piece of land, and then yesterday morning being told, no, it's a totally different deal than we are now, but, you know, a completely different piece of land. I haven't seen that land. It may be the best piece of land in town, but I'm just not at this point in time in a position to make a qualified decision on that land. And so, I would like to do my due diligence before I commit to something. Especially as the city has, yes, it has $1.2 million in the Parks Fund, but I would like to see that $1.2 million spent to best effect for this city. Thank you.
Thank you. This,
I was going to say that I thought this was a great opportunity for our city. This piece of land is to the north of Primrose property, and thought the greater public would like this opportunity rather than the other opportunity. And I stand by that. That's why I made the motion. And I feel that parks is something that all of us are up here that we all want. And I feel like this is the best deal that's in front of us. It's better than the last deal, and the contract's good, and there's no coupons in it. There's none of the other details that were involved in it, and I feel like this is the best shot we have.
With all due respect, the contract isn't perfect. There are things that are not appropriate that are currently in this contract as drafted, and so your motion wasn't limited to negotiations. Your motion was to approve a contract, that there are corrections that need to be made to that contract. And the reason there's probably corrections that need to be made to that contract is because we are rushing into a decision consistently, and that is not a prudent action of this body. I don't think anyone disagrees that we need parklands, and that is a priority. And as Ms. Ridge is very familiar with, she's probably had the longest time in the city, that land is disappearing. And we're not asking to delay this indefinitely. I don't think anyone's of that mindset, especially coming out of executive session. But we have to do the best deal as possible. The contract, the way it's currently written, if we adopt that contract, it's not even appropriate, and we discussed that in executive session. There are changes that need to be made to that. Your motion wasn't for negotiations, it was to approve a contract. And I think that's being done in haste.
I think there's only one thing that was missing from the contract, and that's why I put in the motion to strike 4.5 with the naming rights, but enter into the agreement between J&L Family Partnership and the City of Fulshear.
Motion to amend the contract, strike 4.5 from the contract, Tristan, that was second by Ms. Ridge.
And I'd like to add that the first condition has, this was the property that we wanted in the first place. And we were not, it was, the seller did not want to sell it at the time. Now, we finally been offered what we asked for, what we wanted 2 years ago. It's not in haste.
I'd like to also add, I think, based off of what our attorney has told us, the contract is correct now. After we strike 4.5, and it's a good contract, we're getting it for under appraised value, under